The art of increasing telepathic faculties cannot be fully explained. Thought, as we know from the materialistic view, is a special vibrational movement of the brain. Certain groups of cells vibrate in the brain, it enters the nervous system and then spreads to the environment in a circular, perhaps spherical fashion, in successive waves in all directions, its speed many times greater than Hertzian waves. However, if a thinking person directs his mental strength to such a person, the thought goes directly to that person and he receives this thought more or less easily. Thought, born in the transcendent consciousness of the physical body, vibrates in the astral body, then activates the physical brain. This cerebral movement, which has the same character for a thought of the same type in all brains, for example, the thought of water has the same vibrational value in every brain, does not stand still, goes beyond the limits of the organism, makes the surrounding planet vibrate, and its vibrational movements are transported away, then put in contact with the brains of those who are eligible to receive them. This cerebral movement, which is transferred without losing its own structure, comes into contact with the astral brain, which affects the mental brain. At that time, consciousness awakens and receives information about the subject of thought and produces it automatically. Before you try to convey your thought to someone far away, you need to experiment with some people from a few meters away. You will quickly be successful in conveying simple ideas first, and then you will convey increasingly complex ideas. These experiments not only increase your strength, but also give you the faith and confidence you need to succeed. The donor should calmly and comfortably be strongly attached to the subject of the thought he wants to convey, giving his thought a definite and clear shape. He should be able to see their forms, in a mental vision, in his own mind, by separating the syllables of each word and mentally pronouncing each word that expresses what he is going to say. This mental vision created by the donor, without preoccupation or even thinking about the transmission, should only contain the message. For, when no effort is made for the transmission, thoughts are transmitted much better. Remember that every clearly formulated thought first generates vibrations transmitted by waves, and then creates a form that goes to complain to the person you are thinking of. This form, when semi-intelligent and of sufficient strength, always looks for a suitable moment to complete its homework. And this completes his homework. Distance is not an obstacle for those who are in a state of sympathy with each other. All thoughts, all impressions, even all commandments can be restrained and carried out, especially if they meet a real need. As the sympathy increases, the transfer process becomes easier. If the sympathy is weak, the transplant is not fully accomplished, but gradually an order is established, then the transplant tends to form itself and eventually occurs. Telepathic waves are transmitted from brain to brain in a calm manner, generally without exerting a significant force by the emitter and without fatigue by the receiver. Willpower propels them in a straight line rather than spreading out in all directions. It refers directly to the person or thing being considered. Even if anyone who thinks knows this direction. If the thinking is weak, the scope is short. If it is strong and well expressed, and then repeated many times, it has a direct effect on the aura of the person being thought of. The thought that enters the aura either awakens the same thought or creates an inner thought confusion with a similar operation to a chemical change. Thus, a new thought arises that tends to both. By repeating this operation, the recipient's brain begins to think in a manner similar to the donor's brain. If the donor is sufficiently developed psychically, if he is self-controlled, if he can think well and will, he can get results quickly. The secret of success of telepathic influences is gathered in thought. In order for this fact to be well established in your memory, it is necessary to understand that every conscious thought creates vibrations in the space around us that make its rays, and these vibrations unconsciously strike other brains that tend to the subject of this thought. When the purpose is well defined by a fierce desire combined with a mighty will, the carefully determined thought reaches the person being thought directly, no matter what distance it is. In order to exert telepathic influences, he must try to bring it about as clearly and vigorously as possible. Whatever distance the thought forms are, they go straight and fluctuate in the aura, i.e., the biomagnetic atmosphere, of the person to whom you are sending the thought forms. Thought forms actually act in direct proportion to the energy they contain, gradually changing the mind. But provided that your thought and will sustain them for a sufficient period of time. The truth is that thoughts are material events loaded with power. They come to us from within ourselves and from without. They combine among themselves to form new ideas that are slightly different from each other. Just as they affect us, they also affect others who are available to receive them, and they change everything around us. Weak thoughts, without the power to radiate far, only determine certain movements in the psychic atmosphere of the thinker. Otherwise, strongly expressed thoughts, especially if formulated, give rise to powerful movements that are easily transmitted. If they are not dispatched, they will spread far and wide in all directions and affect those who are willing to receive them.